In the previous video, we have talked about the variables. Now, in this video, we'll talk about the number data type in Python. So in Python, we have various data types. Now, what is data type? Well, each value has its own data type. Data type is important because each value in programming need to be executed according to their data type. For example, number can be treated as number, which means we can perform arithmetic operations on number. Text need to be treated as text, which means we cannot multiply text with text, okay? And we cannot divide text with text. And similarly, we have a Boolean values, which we'll talk about later. So there are some various data types in Python and other programming languages, which we will talk about throughout this section. So for this video, we'll talk about two data types. These two are number data types. Number one is integer and float, okay? Now again, I'm repeating that data types are important because like that, our programming, our Python will execute it in a different way. So there are two data types, that is integer and float. So let me show it to you. Let's say we have a number 1. What I can do, I can store a value in that, and it can be like 9, okay? So let me rename it completely this time, number 1, 9. And then I would say number 2 equals to 2.5. Okay, now let's print the data type of these two values. To print the data type of these two values, I will use another built-in Python function. This is called type. Okay, it's type. So it's like that. So whatever I include inside the parentheses, it will be executed. So what I mean is, for example, I should say number 1 over here, and here I should say number 2, okay, and let's print the results on screen. And as you can see, we have, let me clear the screen and let's print this again. As you can see over here, we have int. The first one is integer, the second one is float. Now you might be confused about how I'm using this function. So what happens is, this is the print function. So this print function need input. So this print function says to me on what I perform execution. So I give something to print operation function, and I give it inside this parenthesis. And then what I have given in their parenthesis is another function, which is a type function, okay? Now this type function need another input, and this inputs, by the way, is called arguments. We'll talk about it in one of the next section about the functions. You will know how to create your own function in this course. So I have entered number 1 variable. So now type function will perform operation on number 1 variable and will tell me the type of number 1. In this case, the data type of number 1 is integer because it does not contain decimal point. And number 2 has a data type of float because it does contain decimal point 2.5. All right. Now, this is how basically you can find out the data type of the numbers, okay? And all other as well. We'll talk about it in one of the next videos, okay? So this is the two data types in Python. It's important to know. Now let's perform. Let's say again there are 5 students in the class. All students have given their test. Marks of the students are as follows. It's the same example. Now what is the average? Now first store the marks of all students in variable, then calculate its average, store the result of calculated result in variable called average, print the average. So what you can do is you can pause the video and you can do this by yourself. If you don't want to do this by yourself, you can follow me, all right? Now let's write a code for this. So we have kind of 5 students. So what we can do is we can say student 1 is equal to 70, student 2 is equal to 80, student 3 is equal to 75, student 4 equals to 65, student 5 is equal to 50. Okay, we need to calculate the average, so I would create another variable avg, and I would add all these numbers. So student 1 plus student 2 plus student 3 plus, now space are optional. You don't need to use space if you don't want to. I'm just using it for formatting. It does look good and it's a best practice as well. Okay, just remember this. All right, now we need to divide this. I have included this in parentheses because it must be performed first, as explained before, and I would divide it with total number of students. All right, so I'm following camel case over here. So let's make a variable for this. It's 5. Now let's print average. So avg was 68 as before, and as you can see, it's giving us 68. So that's it for the variables and number data types. In the next video, we'll talk about some more operators and one more data type. So don't wait, click next, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.